Every citizen is required to raise a levy for the city's defense. The price is a year of their lives. Oh. Ho ho! They seem awfully happy. A smile and a pleasant demeanor could have 100 explanations, yet this whole city is fooled by them. She shakes her head. I know the Levi's better than anyone, so the truth is plain to me, though I'd be lying if I claimed to truly understand them. If only I had a year to live that wasn't my own, I wouldn't be happy either. Oh, okay. So, are you sure the Levi's aren't happy? They only seem so. Her face is flat, unreadable. They're not. So, how are Levi's raised? Anyone who lives in the city can become a citizen at 16 years of age, or the equivalent if they're not human. There's only one requirement. They step into a machine at the order of truth, and it takes away a year of the citizen's life. It uses that year to create a Levi. She lowers her voice, seemingly for the benefit of the Levi standing beside her. That 1 year is all the Levi gets. When it's over, they die. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. Do your Levi's keep every district safe? No, she frowns. Underbelly lives under its own law. Cliffside lives under no laws at all. Okay. Why don't you send any Levi's to Cliffside? The truth, she glances at the door behind her. The council fears the Memovira, the criminal boss of the Bloom. Her power in the city is getting stronger, and she's always had support in Cliff's Edge. I'm not allowed to send patrols there anymore. They didn't tell me why, but I can guess. They're showing the Memovira that she can do as she likes in Cliff's Edge. If Levi's don't keep order in Underbelly, then who does? A man called Folsom. She hesitates, giving you an appraising look. They lean a little closer, then leans a little closer. When the council decides something can only be accomplished by alternative means, they go to him, and he finds the right people to help. In return, they let him do as he likes in Underbelly. Ooh. Okay, this is really interesting. And what were you saying to those drones? They carry my orders to Levi's all over the city, and they bring reports from the Levi's back to me. She reaches out a hand, and one of the drones buzzes something unintelligible. A few years ago, the Aeon priests found them buried underground and brought them back to life. I learned their language, so our conversations are safe from prying ears. Woo! This is really interesting. So many information, though. Nice. Behind the lectern, a four-eyed, hairless mutant processes paper with balletic grace. He's endlessly snapping the elegant fingers of his left hand, and each time the air twists and shimmers, either disgorging a document to be processed or accepting one that he's completed with his ink-stained right hand. Each of his eyes regards a distinct object. Portals that are opening, preambles and recitals that must be reviewed, his own agenda that must be flawless. One eye twitches in your direction. Exaggerated scorn twists his mouth, and though his eyes remain fixed on your face, he gives no verbal acknowledgement. The closest he comes is a faint sigh. At last, after shunting a half-dozen more documents to some distant chubby, he condescends to speak. You must wait, of course, until council matters conclude. His quarter gaze leaves you. His face returns to its former equanimity, and he continues his work, which shows no evidence of slacking, let alone concluding. Is there anything I can do to hurry things along? The clerk continues his masterful shuffling of papers from one portal to another, flicking a closed scroll through a gateway with a particularly deft gesture. Then he turns not one but two eyes your way. If you're inquiring whether I would let my swearing butcher's finger touch the council's paperwork, I fear for the state of your mind. His eyes look away, and he adds, of course it's customary to render a small gratuity in thanks to civil service. One eye quickly glances back. What exactly is the customary gratuity? Without so much as a shrug of his shoulder or an inflection that would acknowledge impropriety, let alone shame, the clerk announces 60 scenes. I don't have that much. The clerk glares at you with one eye. We're not merchants haggling over the price of an inn, sir, he coughs. Custom does not bend to circumstances, nor do civilized people chisel at gifts. Oh, so he's a smart ass. Let's see. I'd just like to talk to you for a short moment. The clerk continues filling and filing paper for a rather long moment. Just when it seems he will not respond at all, he answers, I have no time for idle chit-chat, least of all while there is pressing council business to attend to. Should we quick fingers him or persuade? I think persuade. 35. Holy shit. 60. Let's go with 80. Okay. Critical success. Yes! Stud pool spent on effort restored. The clerk conveys his personal regards for the importance of your matters with a long, loud sigh, but he focuses on one of his eyes on you and replies, Very well. Very well. Let us weigh the worth of your needs, shall we? What is it that you want? I'd like to talk about paperwork. Okay. I don't think we should persuade him. Okay, let's try though. Yeah, you. It's your friend. 80 again. Nice. The clerk hesitates for a moment, then shrugs. It happens that the letter was consigned to destruction by year's end, anyway, given the confirmation of Carradin's demise. With a snap of his fingers, a letter appears and he looks it over. Yes, here we are. Quite the criminal he was, no slouch in treason. But who am I to question the clemency of our peerless council? He hands it to you with a slight sniff. Okay, dismiss. Let me check it for errors. Tiber snaps with an angry look at the clerk. Of course I shouldn't have to, but we wouldn't be here today if a mistake hadn't been made by someone in a position of authority. You delightful maniac. Tiber chuckles low in his chest. I think we're going to get along well, you and I. You feel him writing something on the document. Presumably reads his name before slipping it into your pouch and giving a polite little cough to catch the council's clerk attention. Everything appears to be in order, he says, mouth set in a stern line. I meant no offense, of course.
I'll remember that.
The clerk turns a single angry eye at Tiber's way. Of course I understand, he says, his voice shaking. The eye moves to you. Do you have any other matters to discuss? I'm quite busy today. Let's ask some general questions. Who are you? I am neither a tourist attraction nor a docent. He sniffs, but the irritation in his voice is only a thin disguise for the obvious pleasure he takes at your interest. He elaborates, I am the council clerk, and onto me falls the responsibility of directing the fate of every official document in Sagus Cliffs. His tone becomes wholly boastful as he continues. I am the mind that channels the blind, nervous impulses of the city and turns it into a muscular action. He preens, adding a certain flair to his routing of the paperwork. Nature, of course, provides every being with its proper niche. And here my power to bend space, my divisible vision, and my unerring integrity allow me to carry out a task no other in the ninth world could possibly undertake. I want those powers too, man. I'm so jealous. He sighs, but with rapture, not exasperation. A venal man, a distractible man, an ordinary man would break beneath the temptation and strain, but not I. With that, his bureaucratic scowl returns. Okay. Yeah, I want to know some things about the council. I think we'll encounter it later. The clerk sniffs. Paper governs Sagus Cliffs. Paper allows the few to rule over the many. Paper allows the many to organize into a single whole. Authority resides in dictates, compacts, agenda, the means by which thoughts are refined, disseminated and preserved. In a calmer voice he adds, of course the council has a part as well. Each of the great slave families send a representative, and they dicker and bicker until they form the will embodied in paper, and I am the clerk. So, can you tell me about the city's history? Why exactly would an overburdened clerk be able or willing to recite the city's sad tale of decline? Then a certain twinkle appeared in all four of his eyes, and he begins to speak. Here is what the documents themselves reveal, not in the words, but in the very selves. He works faster as he tells the story. Centuries ago, when the Ninth World was fresh, the city began. Its founders kept meticulous records, all lost. Only the columbarium that held them remains. A time of aristocrats followed. Each paterfamilias traced his lineage to ancient heroes and inscribed these lies in stone. Today those tablets pave the modern heaps built in the wake of Chila's rebellion. He clacks his tongue in distaste. That came later. First came the Tabath, and as they laid siege to Sagus Cliffs, the city records degraded. By hygiene and decency, proper documentation falters in long years of terror. With a shrug and no details he adds, but the siege failed and the Tabath vanished. Next, an age of decadence, the long gestating consequence of the aristocracies, even more outlandish choices. In screens they laid out their reasons to the people, not to explain but to mock. He smirks. Naturally rebellion followed. Chila cast down the old lords and raised up new slave families. An empire expanded, contracted. Holidays and boulevards changed names. All else persisted, corruption most of all. At last a new clerk came, bringing order. He bows, and here we are. So, again, tell me some fascinating stories. Naturally, the clerk replies, but for a moment, notion of privacy and probity keep him quiet. Then one of his eyes flicks your direction, and you can see he's avid to indulge the twin pleasures of the voyeur and the gossip. There's this, from an ambassador sent to the steadfast. He snaps his fingers, summons the dispatch, clears his throat and reads. Today, with great ceremony, the Aeon priests buried a man said to have lived for 277 years. I asked how this grey beard has lasted so long, and was told as followed. 300 years ago there was a painting of spectacular beauty hung in the Durk Hall, a relic from before the Ninth World. For reasons unknown the work was incomplete. The Amber people believed that if it finished, it would reveal a truth about human nature that had eluded all intellectual inquiry. He proclaimed that whatever painter could complete it would receive a cipher that would enable him to live for 250 more years. Great artists flocked to the ducal to examine the masterpiece, but when they saw it, none dared lift a brush. At last a young whitewasher approached, carrying brushes and rollers and buckets of paint. I can finish this, he declared. The Amber Pope nodded, and the boy flung an entire bucket of paint across the canvas. The blank region was filled, but the painting was splattered with white, its modesty gone. The Pope held to his vow, and bestowed longevity upon the whitewasher. He was, however, borne to the torture pits below the Dark Hall, when he remained until that very day, when at last his long life ceased. The clerk folds the faded dispatch, returns to the envelope, and sends it away, saying no more. Let's hear another one. After Chila tore down the old ruling families, there was a time when the council stripped the euphemisms from its ledgers, and one sees such and such paid for racking a nobleman till he gave up his stash of sins, and such to settle the claims of mothers bereft of the children by rampaging